How did the Coming to America thing come together?
It was just a regular, in terms of me getting the job, I got a call. They said John Landis, who was the director, would like to meet you over at Paramount. And so I went over to Paramount, and John had a script there, and he didn't want me to read for it or to audition for the role. He had pretty much made up his mind that I was the right character for the McDowell's character. And I guess in real life I had been preparing for it because I'd worked for the McDonald's Corporation in Canada when they first got started. I worked in the very first McDonald's unit ever in Canada, and that gave me good training for the commercials for McDonald's that were to come later, and for the actual movie Coming to America, which was to come much, much later in my life. Unbeknownst to me, I was being prepared for that role, and even as I just went about the business of trying to feed my family.
Yeah. Wait, so you actually worked at McDonald's, like behind the counter?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you have to understand, McDonald's, there's a direct correlation between their success and their training program. They had a place called McDonald's University, or Hamburger University, where you went there and you studied and took tests to become a McDonald's franchise manager. Everything had to be done to specifications. The hamburgers had to be a certain weight, a certain consistency. The buns, the sesame buns had to be a certain weight and a consistency. So their attitude towards specifications led me to begin to write songs, if you excuse me if you call these songs. At the time, West Side Story was one of the most popular musicals. So I took the score from West Side Story and I began to write these satirical songs using the music from West Side Story, but singing about McDonald's products like, when you're a Mac all the way, from your first 10-cent Coke to your last fish fillet. When you're a Mac, you give all that you got, whether you're bagging fries or picking up the lot.
We want to hear those demos. We want to hear those.
Don't say that, man. You might regret that later, easy. But I had a lot of fun with it because nobody in Canada knew what a McDonald's was at that time. And when we opened, it was a very unusual structure with the golden arches. And I distinctly remember one lady, an older woman, a native Canadian, she came up to the window and she said, "What is this place? What goes on here?" And all my crewmen, they were all polishing and shining everything. We had no customers. So she says, "You got 20 people back there. What are they doing?" I said, "We're keeping it nice and clean for you. We sell hamburgers." "You'll never sell hamburgers in a place that looks like this." She walked away. Well, needless to say, that we sold hamburgers. It worked well.
So did you have any idea like how classic Coming to America was going to be when you were working on it?
The truth of it is, we not just the cast, but I like to keep touch with the crew. And when we were getting our makeup done, I distinctly remember sitting in the makeup trailer, and several of us had a bet going as to how much money the movie was going to gross worldwide. And the bet was that anybody that came within $25 million of the worldwide gross was going to get a free dinner, and whoever lost the bet would have to pop for dinner. None of us came within $150 million of the worldwide gross on that picture. One of the reasons being because Eddie and Arsenio portrayed so many different characters, along with some of the other actors, but Eddie in particular portrayed so many different characters. People were going back, as we knew they would, going back to the theater 2, 3, 4 times to see the movie again, to confirm that it was in fact Eddie, who was this guy, he was that guy, he was this guy, he was that guy. He did a phenomenal job.
A lot of people consider Coming to America to be Eddie Murphy's best movie.
Well, I'd like to think it was one of his better ones. I liked pretty much everything Eddie was doing at that time, but of course I liked Coming to America the most because I had a chance to play opposite him and some other wonderful talent in the film.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember people were already talking about it, where it's like, yo, Eddie Murphy plays an old Jewish guy. And you're like, no, that can't work. And then I remember seeing the character and wondering if that was Eddie Murphy or not. I remember having to go back and watch it a few times to be like, is that really Eddie Murphy?
No doubt. That was him. And I tell you how he got me one day. We were taking a break and we were on lunch break, I believe. So I was standing outside just relaxing, and some guy comes walking up to me, and he's wearing sweats with a hoodie. I didn't pay him much attention. I didn't know if he was with crew or just a tourist. And he starts engaging me in conversation. He said, "Hey, what's your name?" I said, "John." He said, "John what?" So I told him my last name. And he said, "I never heard of you." And I can see that the guy's becoming increasingly more confrontational. And then he says, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm working on a movie." "What movie?" And I told him, "Coming to America with Eddie Murphy." He said, "Well, I heard of Eddie Murphy. I never heard of you. You sure you're in the movies?" So now the guy is really starting to get under my skin. And he said, "Are you funny? Are you a comedian?" I said, "Hey, man, why don't you leave me alone? I'm on my lunch hour. I'm trying to take a break." I turned around, and the guy starts laughing. It's Eddie, but he was in between costumes with the prosthetics. He starts laughing. He's got this laugh that you have to hear it. You can't imitate. He sounds like a mule in heat. Right?
Yeah.
And so I said, "Eddie," he said, "Hey, Amos, I got you." And sure enough, he had nailed me. Because I had no idea who he was. I'm getting ready to punch the guy in his eye for getting so confrontational with me. Turns out it's Eddie Murphy in between characters. So he was at the top of his game then. And it was just a joy to work with him. I never knew who he was going to be from one day to the next. He'd change characters, change costumes. He was at the top of his game.
Hey, yo, they need to call you. Lee Daniels need to get you on Empire. You got all these different people making cameos and stuff. I'm pretty sure, man, you fit up in there and smash one of them roles.
Thank you. I would love to work with Lee
Empire,
Daniels.
Holla.
Because he has...
Holla at me, too.
Yeah, holla at both of us. We'll both do it. We'll do it as twin brothers, okay? You can get two of us for the price of one. In fact, you get Biggie, you get Easy to do the music, and I'll do some drama for you, some comedy, whatever you want. But call us, Empire. Call us, Lee Daniels. Come on, man. What you waiting for?
That's what I mean. We were dealing with those issues that's happening right now in 2015 and 1990.
Were you with him when that happened?
We was living together.
You were living together.
He had gone to the bank, came home all scarred up, mad. I took the pictures.
And when Meek said it, he's not turning his back on the hood. I guess what he's saying is, you doing all this, man. Like, you doing this to blow the fuck up and to move on and bring your dudes out of it with you.